A key component in learning to process emotions and release emotional habit patterns is being able to tune into and identify with clarity emotional sensations in the body. But many people were taught not to tune into that. And so when we say tune into the emotional sensations in this moment, they might say, what are you talking about? And that was the case. I had actually three clients, all of whom were older men, who I'd say, what are you feeling in your body with emotions? And they'd say, I don't feel anything in the body. And there was a certain time when men were told to not feel it. So they were trained and conditioned to not feel it. So what I did was I'd get them in conversation, and for about 10 to 20 minutes of our session, I'd get them talking about things they were excited about, that they really loved, and when I saw they were really filled with some kind of positive emotion, I'd say, what are you feeling right now in the body? And they'd say, and first they were startled to be stopped in the middle of their story, but they'd go, oh, I don't know, maybe energy, something, I don't know. And I'd say, okay, go on, what were you saying? You were talking about that. And I'd get them back in the story again, and then I'd guide them into things they felt strongly about, and then I'd guide them into something they didn't feel good about, and that they were maybe upset about, and that they'd start to get upset, and I'd say, okay, right now, what's in your body right now? And they'd go, I don't know, some kind of, they'd kind of look and go, I don't know, something, because they could tell there was something different, but it just wasn't a way they were used to looking. Well, I would do that, and there'd be a total of 3 sessions. I'd do that for 2 sessions, and I'd give them meditations and everything to do at home, but their assignment was every time they knew they were emotional, to turn to look at the body and see what's different. I'd have them first check in at the beginning and say, what's going on in the body when I don't have an emotion? Now what's going on when I do? And I'd get them doing that. By the 3rd or 4th session, these men who were saying, I don't have any emotional sensations, by the 3rd or 4th session, they were able to report with amazing clarity these sensations in their body. They'd say, well, it's tight here, and there's a kind of rhythm here, and this kind of comes and goes. Around here, this is vibrational, and they could come in with amazing clarity. It's not that they didn't have the ability, it's that no one ever said, hey, it might be helpful to tune into that. And that was kind of my role with them. That's what I suggest for other people to do. When you know you're emotional, stop and say, what am I feeling in the body? Now, a lot of people, when they're emotional, I can give them that note, but the last thing they think to do is stop to say what's happening in my body. So some other exercises you can do to get some more clarity of how emotions manifest for you in your body. Yes, there's similar ways in which anger, fear, sadness, shame, love, joy, peace, gratitude, humor, in which we feel them, but it's different from person to person, and you want to know how emotions manifest for you. The other thing I came up with many years ago is I came up with a sound CD, and I would play sounds. And they would just be short snippets of sounds. I started off with, a cello, beautiful cello, then nature sounds, oceans, birds chirping, and then coyotes and owls at night. And then I'd go into man-made sounds and people laughing and crying and applauding. And then machinery like subways and car alarms and clocks ticking and and I had various different sounds I would play. I'd do these in my classes, and I would play the sound for 30 seconds to 45 seconds. If it was music or waves or something pleasant, I might let it go for a minute or 2. But usually it was quite short, and then we'd stop and pause. Say, what's different in the body now? And then I'd give everyone a moment to breathe in and out, let that go, and we'd play another sound. You can do this without my sound CD. Shinzen used my sound CD for years, and I was, giving it out to people, and maybe I'll put it together again and offer that. But you can do it without that. You could listen to music. You could listen to music you like, music you don't like. Different kinds of music, and notice what you feel differently. You could listen to politicians you don't like and politicians you do like, and see what happens in the body. You could listen to a movie soundtrack. You could listen to television. Now, Shinzen calls that trigger practice. He'll just say, put the TV on and just watch it. I'll say, have the remote there and just listen for 30 seconds, max a minute. And if there's someone's talking, it's ideal if it's not talking. Like, that's why I worked with sounds, because the minute we hear words, we leave the meditation, we start going off to the meaning of the words. But if you can keep in touch with your body as you listen to words, that's also a lovely exercise for life. To learn to track your emotions. And it's much easier to do while you're listening to people than it is while you're talking. So those are a couple exercises that I developed to help people tune in to how emotions manifest for them as physical sensations in the body. Why do we want to do this? Well, in the processing part, once you have clarity of where and how anger or sadness or fear manifests for you, and there'll be a range, by the way. You know, anxiety can be from a little anxious to a panic attack. So there's a range. Anger can be, I'm kind of irritated, to rage where you're hurting somebody, right? Sadness can be, oh, that's too bad, to deep depression and despair. So there's a range. But wherever anger, fear, or sadness, or shame manifests for you, it'll tend to be the same quality, the same location. The intensity will change. So it might be more intense, and sometimes when it's more intense, it takes more area. Doesn't matter. Get to know it, even if you just get to know it as a subtle sensation. Once you get a sense of how your emotions manifest where in the body, in general, I would say fear tends to be contractive right in the front, below the chest, into the belly, and we hold our breath. It keeps us from breathing. In general, sadness tends to be a heaviness that kind of rounds us forward. You might feel it in the pit of your stomach. Anger for some people is a flush in the face, just like embarrassment, but anger can sometimes manifest here. But it's different for different people. So find out where it is for you. Then notice if you have tension around it, but the path to releasing it is to relax around, get to know where those sensations are, and then when those emotions happen, treat it like a living creature that needs to dance its dance. Relax around it and let it flow and move on through. Like babies, like animals. The baby will cry for its life, and the nipple goes in the mouth, and the baby doesn't say, and I'm really mad about last Thursday. They let it go. We are born knowing how to let it go, all right? We're relearning that. And this is how to use mindfulness to get clarity on this process. I hope this is helpful. And this is about finding emotional sensations in the body so that we can better help let them flow on through.